because you cannot scale analytics, right, or AI without trust. I do believe that automation and Gen AI reduce a lot of manual work we traditionally associate with data science and engineering. So I think the Gen AI doesn't replace the judgment. Actually, I think it amplifies it a little bit. People may actually be surprised that in a lot of the big organizations, the CFO group, they are still using Excel to do a lot of the financial reporting, to do their financial planning analysis. So the differentiator is not mastering a specific technology, right? It's learning how to learn and also being comfortable working through ambiguous problems where the answer isn't obvious. In my experience, leadership alignment is really the biggest blocker. It's not a technology or talent. The reason is that I want to make sure the executives, the business leaders see the data science team as the driver, as the collaborator, not just the supporter.
You're listening to Data Analytics Chat, where data meets career.
The roles of data scientists and data engineers are changing. With Gen AI, automation, and product-led data platforms, many teams are starting to ask some important questions. Which roles will still matter in the future? Which skills are actually going to differentiate people? And how should data teams really be structured over the next 5 to 10 years? In today's episode of Data Analytics Chat, I'm joined by Phoenix Pei, SVP of Analytics Manager at Truist, and we're exploring the future of data roles. So if you're building, leading, or working in a data team today, this conversation is about how the profession is evolving and hopefully will be of interest to yourself. Phoenix, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to today's topic.
Same here.
So before we dive in, Phoenix, do you want to just give listeners a quick introduction to who you are and the work you're leading today?
Absolutely. My name is Phoenix Pei, and I'm an electrical engineer by training. Today, I lead data science and analytics teams in the financial service industry. So I have been focusing on building and scaling analytics AI solutions that drive business outcomes, mainly focusing on revenue growth, operational efficiency, and risk reduction. I spent about 8 years in consulting earlier in my career, which I often describe as the greatest professional boot camp. It forces me to solve hard problems quickly, work across industries, and communicate clearly with the senior leaders, often with imperfect data and tight timelines. That experience really shaped how I think about the analytics in practice today. So today, my work sits as the intersection of engineering, data science, and business strategy. I not only care about the technical solution, but also make sure the solutions are production ready, trusted, and well adopted by the business user. So what really motivates me is helping the teams to turn advanced analytics solution into something that really changes how a business operates.
And so like where you mentioned about consulting giving you, I guess, that working in different fast-paced environments, because it gives you you get more exposure to a lot of different projects and also helps your learning, doesn't it?
That's right. That's absolutely right. I really enjoyed looking back, right? I really enjoyed the consulting life in my early 20s, late 20s. It really forced me to pick up new technologies, new business quickly across industries. And it gives me the exposure to communicate with senior leaders, which usually don't happen in a more pyramid hierarchy in the banks.
Yeah, and it's recruited across different technical areas. So AI, I've done SAP in the past, and software development like that. A lot of businesses do really value that experience as well, because you're coming in with different experiences.
That's
and
right.
obviously with that, you're coming across different challenges. So it's, definitely beneficial.
That's right.
So obviously that's obviously probably, your great experience has shaped your approach to work today. Is there anything else that's really benefited your career, would you say?
Yeah, I'm thinking that in the consulting life, I worked on a lot of the analytics initiatives, large analytics initiatives where the solutions are technically strong, are very technically strong and well designed. It takes months, hours, hundreds of hours for us to develop those solutions. But it's hard to make it to production or actually change any decision. And I also spend a significant part of my time building sound risk analytics platform in what we call the second line of defense in the risk management space, where the priority is control, governance, and getting things right for the regulators, right? Even it takes time. So that experience really helped me think about what it means to have a sound risk management system, data quality, lineage, documentation, risk discipline, and whatnot, because you cannot scale analytics, right, or AI without trust. Right now, as I'm leaving the consulting, I'm sitting much closer to the business in the first line of defense, where the reality is a little bit different. The decisions need to happen very fast. The business just cannot wait for a month for perfect models or frameworks. So the challenge that I'm focusing now is to deliver both, how to build an analytically sound, well-governed programs while meeting business need, business speed. That means designing the governance not to block the process, but to enable it, and embedding some of the controls into the platform instead of laying them on later. And just be very clear about which decisions need precision versus which need direction. For the ones that need the direction, right, we can deliver the solution, the work faster. And for the ones that which need more precision or for more regulatory scrutiny, will definitely take more time to build out the controlled governance solution. So the balance between rigor and velocity is what I think shapes how I lead the AI initiatives today.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big challenges now. Like, we're blessed with generative AI and all solutions, but also gives you more headaches. Every business function will be coming to you with a use case. You'll be able to manage. So what's the one that's going to move the needle now?
That's
Because you
right.
can't do it. You can't do it in one go, can you? Because it's so much. Like the biggest,
Exactly.
a lot of people know where they want to go to, like obviously the hurdles they want to get over, the projects they want to deliver. But
That's right.
when you change, culture change is the hardest thing, isn't it? Technology change, you've got to embed that. It's not, you can't get in a mess, can you, really? If you do too much at once, you're going to get in a situation where it's undeliverable.
That's right. Yeah. And sometimes I think you probably also have this experience. The business executives have a 10,000 view, right, on how this solution should work. But coming down to really implementation, execution, they sometimes underestimate how long it would actually take to implement it, execute it. So a lot of times it started with a big blueprint, but then the detailed roadmap is not carefully designed. So it leaves us, the data engineers, data scientists, very little room to make it designed, to make it well controlled, governed. So we
Yeah.
were, implicitly or explicitly pressured to deliver something just for the sake of delivery.
Yeah, and especially in the industry you're working in as well, where you've got more, these other gaps, you've got the regulatory stuff to go through as well. So it takes time, doesn't it?
That's right. It does.
Okay, brilliant. Let's move on to the data topic. So I mentioned prior to recording this, and also when I started hiring, we did a lot of Oracle DBAs. Obviously, yes, you don't do that anymore. Obviously, they're ingrained in data engineers. So things are moving really quick. So how do you see the roles of data scientists, data engineers evolving over the next sort of 5 to 10 years, especially with the rise of Gen AI and now and automation?
Yeah, I think both roles will still be there and they'll be actually become more impactful, but also more clearly differentiated in different functions, different purpose. I do believe that automation and Gen AI reduce a lot of manual work we traditionally associate with data science and engineering. For example, in my own work, I regularly leverage tools like Copilot to help with coding. So that efficiency really frees up my cognitive space. So I spend less time on syntax and more time thinking strategically about what we're building, why we're building it, and how it should be implemented so that we can scale freely in a real business environment. So looking ahead, I think data engineering will still need to focus on building reliable, governed, scalable data products, right? Because data is, after all, the foundation. But maybe more pipeline plumbing, more platform and architecture thinking. And then the data scientists will spend less time on feature wrangling, right? Finding the best feature engineering, all of that, but more time on problem framing and decisioning science and translating analytics into action. I do still see a big gap between the decision that data scientists made versus the decisions that the business made, right? So how to enable the data scientist to actually bridge this gap to be able to tell the story to the business, I think that's very important. So I think the common thread is really this both roles will need a much stronger understanding of their work and how that connects to the business outcome, how that connects to the financial outcome. So I think the Gen AI doesn't replace the judgment. Actually, I think it amplifies it a little bit.
Yeah, and I've doing hiring 3 years ago for data scientists. It used to just be focused on tech skills, but like now,
Yeah.
we're in a different era, aren't we now? I mean, you said you've got Copilot can do the heavy lifting for you, and he's definitely getting more strategic. Like, he's getting more creative. If you can
Yes.
understand the business domain and add value in that regard to any solution, you're going to know better where to, just going to get the better results and how you're going to implement to get better solutions, aren't you?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I think we also leverage a Copilot to do a lot of cloud-based transformation, migration type of work, right? Instead of manually search, replace a lot of the target source tables, targeted tables, we leverage a Copilot to do that. That definitely saves a lot of time, and then it's really an efficiency gain in our work. And with that time saved, we can definitely spend more time to think about how to actually curate the data, right? Instead of just do lift shift, how to curate it so that it can be designed better and it can be used by the data consumers better.
Yeah, so we've already seen there's already like data product scientists, that's a bit more domain, but I think over years to come, do you think it'll get even more like specialized, like in each department within a business, say like one that's, obviously you have got marketing data scientists, but would it go deeper and deeper into the business, do you feel?
I do think so. I do think that it will, in the future, whether it's data engineers or data scientists, that we need to have a stronger business, connection in terms of knowing what product are we building, right? And why we're building that, and what type of outcomes, what type of decisions that we're driving. So I think if anything, the team would sit close to the business, but operate more like a product and engineering teams. And honestly, that's exactly why I enjoy being in the first line of defense, which is the line of business. Because I think we are close to the business and to understand the real problems, to use data to influence decisions in real time and to see the impact directly. What's the revenue that's gained? What's the efficiency? What's the cost saved? And what are the client's outcomes? What are the client satisfaction scores? Things like that. So yeah, I do think that it does require the data engineers, data scientists to know the business better. It may not necessarily be all banking related business, right? It can be any type of industry, consumer goods, energies, technologies, right? But close to the customers, close to the business development side.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's going to be important for businesses, maybe if they can embed, if you could work with, say, the finance function, whatever function it is, to actually get an
That's right.
understanding the business problems as opposed to the tech problems. Because once you become more rounded, you've got a more rounded view of what's happening.
That's right. And you mentioned about the finance component, right? And then people may actually be surprised that in a lot of the big organizations, the CFO group, they're still using Excel to do a lot of the financial reporting, to do their financial planning analysis. And then it's just so hard to change this Excel mind, even though there's so many advanced fintech solutions, technologies using Excel to build out the report, income statement, financial statement is still a big part of their job. So even how to modernize that type of work, I think how to leverage the data scientists to enable some of the financial analysts to with their work, I think that's even something to explore.
And do you believe there would be more of a sort of full stack data professional? Will that become the norm? Or will enterprise just like always need deeply specialized talent in, say, like engineering, analytics, ML, governance?
Yeah, that's a good question. And honestly, that's something that I have been discovering in my different roles. So I think the idea of a single person doing everything end to end works very well in certain project moments, but it doesn't scale as a permanent operating model in a larger group. In practice, I do this myself today. When a solution is high profile, time sensitive, and needs rapid delivery, I often build it end to end, data sourcing, modeling, logic, even parts of the implementation. And I would present the solution to the business. So that speed matters early on, especially when the business needs the result, right? Needs the confidence quickly. But once the solution is about 70 to 80% established, once the architecture, the patterns, values are clear, that's usually when I pass on the project to specialized teammates. So the data engineers will harden the pipeline, the data scientists will refine the model, and then the governance partners will ensure it scales safely. So I don't think that the full stack execution will become a norm, but it's more a full stack awareness. So the best teams should understand the entire life cycle, right? And if they specialize deeply in one part of it, that's great. But this full stack awareness is definitely very important.
And I think also if you specialize someone so much, surely you're going to get bored of their role. Like I guess if you're doing multiple different jobs as a data scientist, data engineer, you're going to like blend a skill set, aren't you?
That's
I
right.
think
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
if they're
that's
say doing one specific requirement, yeah, it's going to be good for a certain bit. But I think for your mindset, your brain, you want to be tested doing different things and overcoming different challenges, don't you?
absolutely. Absolutely. I think you're right that I want to, right, as a data scientist or data engineer, I may not have to be the business analyst to collect the requirements in the beginning to document it, but I definitely want to know why the business make the request like this, right? Why they want the requirements like that. I don't want to just take it as is. I want to ask questions on why they want that, because I may be able to, as a data engineer and data scientist, I may be able to support them, advise them to come up with a better requirement so that we can build out this solution better. So yeah, so I think I do hope all the data engineers, data scientists, and even the future AI developers, right, can have this full stack mindset. That's how the product is developed end to end.
So what changes is happening? What do you feel? What skills are going to separate the best talent from average performers in the future?
Yeah, I also ask this question to myself all the time. I have recruited many people in the past few years, both in consulting and at Truist. And I think sound technical skill, the fundamental technical skill is very important. I definitely want to hire somebody that's are fluent with SQL or Python, right? The fundamental programming tools. But I don't think this is a differentiator if there are two talents, they're both very strong with SQL, Python, R, BI tools like Tableau, ClickView, Power BI. What are the differentiator? I think it is the ability to connect the dots. It is ability to keep learning new skills. Even looking at my own career, I realized that I learned the core programming skills in the earlier career of my life. And then that foundation made everything possible, right? So once I understand how data moves, how metrics are defined, and how the system are behaving, picking up new tools become just much easier. So that foundation allowed me to adapt as a technology to evolve. I later on learned the platforms like Alteryx, MongoDB, GraphQL, AWS, Snowflake, as the needs of the business changed. So I think the reality is that the cycle never stops, right? In our area, in this world, you mentioned that we're just always learning. We always have to learn something. So the differentiator is not mastering a specific technology, right? It's learning how to learn and also being comfortable working through ambiguous problems where the answer isn't obvious. I think that for the talents that I hired, and even for me, I think one of the important differentiator is how we solve a problem that's probably not clearly defined, and how we work through the ambiguous problems, and how we develop a trade-off with the business stakeholders to say, hey, I understand you are asking for this, but this is how we're actually building it. This is how it usually happens, and how we can meet halfway, how we can find the balance. So I think understanding the business context and framing the problem before jumping to the solution, explain the trade-offs clearly, and really influence the decisions without hiding behind the technical complexities. I think that's very important. I know we're all very smart people to be able to work with data, but but don't hide it behind it to say, oh, this is very technical. It's too technical for me to explain to you. I don't think that is the answer. So I think the ability to really be able to explain all of this, to explain to the business stakeholder this technical approach to a business audience, right? And I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Like the story, again, it's storytelling, isn't it?
Yeah.
How to articulate the tech terms into business context and do it in basic layman terms, because leaders are so busy and they're not interested. They just want to know the outcome, really, that how you're going to get there, not the ins and outs of everything. They just want to know the process.
Yeah.
So then, I guess if you were advising someone to enter the field today, where should they invest learning?
I still think that the foundation, the statistics, SQL, and any data modeling, Python, R, this level of information is still very important. We need to build a strong foundation first. But the other is as important as the first one, is really just to understand how business actually makes decisions. We often think that, okay, our data is enabling the business to make the decision. But in reality, the ugly truth is not. The business make decisions based on a high level picture, right? They sometimes use the data to justify the decisions. So I think be able to understand how business makes the decision, sit down the meeting, and then learn how the metrics are used or misused, right? I think this really helps. And even make friends with the business stakeholders to educate them why the data important, why the analytics important, and then be able to find more data champions, right, to work with us. I think that's very important.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, especially on the statistics side. Like when we recruit for a lot of our clients, the key things they want is, you still need the foundations of statistics. Like that's the key component, key ingredient for a lot of the hires. They want that. Can you spot the gaps that is going to be needed? Apply the right models. I think I know there's a lot of excitement now with generative AI and moving into that, but you still need to have the foundations as the key
That's
to
right. Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
So I guess most organizations are talking about becoming data driven, but I guess many still struggle to get value from their data. Where do you see the biggest
Mhm.
blockers today for organizations?
Yeah. In my experience, leadership alignment is really the biggest blocker. It's not a technology or talent. I worked with many top banks over the past decades, and I realized that many organizations invest heavily in tools and teams, but they don't really clearly define what decisions data is meant to improve. When that happens, data team we're often pressured to shape the analysis to fit the existing narratives or broken processes. We're not really using the data to enable the business outcomes. So I think that's where things really break down. The data shouldn't be used to justify the decisions after the fact, but rather if the underlying sales or operational disciplines isn't sound, then no amount of analytics will fix it. So I I also see successful organizations, groups that are doing this better, where they are willing to fix the core processes, setting clear accountabilities, and then using strong governed data to measure the reality, right? Whether the results are comfortable or not. So I think culture and the governance matter, but the leadership really sets the tone. If the leaders are more open to change how the business operates based on what the data actually says, that's when the data actually starts creating the real value.
Yeah, of this, yeah, it's a massive challenge for companies, isn't it? So
That's
when talking about leadership, you're digging into culture. There's a lot of change and it's hard to do, isn't it, for businesses?
that, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think I'm not in the executive role yet, but I definitely want to be able to educate those executive leaders more. And I think the more people are doing this to just bring awareness of the data, the solution technology to the executive leadership, the more opportunities they get, right, to learn, to be trained, yeah, and to build that awareness.
Yeah, and I think that awareness is getting stronger day by day, especially since generative AI. I think it's how important like data is to a business. I do think things
Mhm.
are getting more closer together. So
Mhm.
it's a bit interesting to see how the future plays out.
Yeah,
Then,
absolutely.
then I guess many data science projects fail to make it into production. Why do you think like initiatives stall, and what must change in organisations to improve the success rate?
I think the common theme for I feel like our topic and a lot of the discussion around the future of data scientists, the data engineers, I think it's still the disconnect between the business and the data science. I realize that many business leaders don't have a strong data science background, which means that they sometimes struggle to give clear direction, what problems analytics should solve, or how success should be defined. And at the same time, and I think the roles are the same, the scientists are often not very business savvy enough to to pitch their idea, right? Or they may not be given the opportunity or space to really pitch their work in a business term. So I think the gap is that the business can't clearly articulate what they need, and the data teams focus on the model performance rather than the decision impact. So when the projects move forward, but without a strong sponsorship or ownership or path forward, then it never reached to the production, right? Because the business, you don't get business buy-in. And then if you don't get business buy-in, then the solutions you build, no matter how strong technical they are, it's of little value. So I think what needs to change is awareness. We talked about it, and also just a shared accountability. I think that for any data science project to make it to production, it shouldn't just be data scientist's job, right? The data scientists need to be working closely with the business to understand the business context and be empowered to tell the story why their work matters. And on the other hand, the business stakeholders need to be the champion, right? To engage earlier, asking the better questions, providing better requirements, shaping the priorities, and then really give a clear direction on how the solution should be developed and how should it be implemented. So I think when that dialogue is missing, the solution, the data science product, is struggle to survive, right? So when it's there, it happened earlier, I think the production becomes a natural step, right? It's not a hurdle. It's what meant to happen.
Do you think then future data teams should sit closer to the business then?
I do. Yeah, I
Or,
think
or do
I
you
do. I
think
think
it'll
we,
just...
yeah, I do. I think we touched bases in earlier as well. I do think they should sit it close to the business but should operate like a strong product and engineering team so that they can be embedded with a clear ownership of the product and share the roadmaps and measurable outcomes while holding themselves to high engineering and analytical standard. However, I do think that there are companies or functions or industries that they may have a reason why the data team should be separate shared service, right? Instead of sitting close to the business. But I do think that for the banking industry where we are now, I enjoy being the first line of business, first line of defense because it's close to the business. And I understand exactly how my analysis, how my solution is used by the frontline teammates.
Yeah, no, it's
And
different.
yeah,
Yep.
and also I get the feedback immediately, right? I think the feedback loop is also immediate. So I am not only just seeing my results are used, but I also know what works, what doesn't work, and it enables me to refine my approach, refine my models better.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it'd be interesting to see how businesses deal with it because I've seen other people, other companies that do like hackathons where they get the business and tech data teams all together. Because you can have like collaboration. You don't necessarily need like desks close to each other, but if you're doing this like collaboration work, it's going to benefit your business. Everyone's going to know everyone's problems, and then it's just going to be more knowledge to share, isn't it? To communicate, and you can be able
Yeah.
to create more impact, and then guess what you want is deliver more value.
Yeah, I do. And this has been ongoing discussion, ongoing challenge for all the players, right, in the financial service industry, because we do know that if we have a shared service where we can hire the brightest, the best technical talent, right, whether it's an AI developer, data engineers, we actually have more solutions or more capabilities to build those solutions. The challenge is really how the different functions, how different line of business, quote unquote, compete on the services, right? Because if they cannot deliver everything at the same time for everyone. It's a shared service. So how they prioritize the work from different functions, that has been a challenging on them, right? So then as a business, we are like, okay, if you cannot deliver at the speed for our business, then let's have the resource on our own so that we can do it. So I think there's definitely pros and cons on different operating models here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's any change, you got opportunity and you got challenges. As soon as you move the goalposts, new things happen, new challenges are going to occur. It's just how
That's
you
right,
adapt,
yeah.
and it's just that's the way it is.
Yeah, it is.
So then, if you're leading a data team today, what's the one thing you would change in the next 90 days to prepare for this future?
I think about this question all the time. I ask this question to myself all the time. How would I do differently? I think, number one, I would immediately align the team around a small number of high impact business decisions that we're responsible for influencing, which means that we may need to stop something else that doesn't support those outcomes. The reason is that I want to make sure the executives, the business leaders see the data science team as the driver, as the collaborator, not just the supporter. As I mentioned before, I don't want our analysis to justify the business outcome, right? I want our data to be able to really tell the bank how we are doing and what we did right or wrong. The second part as important as the first one is I would intentionally engage a small set of business champions at the executive level to really who genuinely believe in data-driven decision making, right? Have the authority to act on insights. I would engage them and then work with them, pitch our work with them, have them be our champion to move forward a lot of the work. Because if we cannot create impact on the business, our team, our work will continue to be the supporting document, the artifacts. So when we have the executive champions who ask the right questions, who are willing to challenge the old status quo, right, to challenge the intuition and the visibility, use the data to make decisions, it changes the whole dynamic. It echoed with one of the things we discussed earlier. It's the leadership alignment, right? The culture, the leadership alignment, how the leadership is willing to learn, adapt. I think it really make a difference. So that combination, the clear ownership, the decision ownership, and a strong executive sponsorship, and the ruthless, right, prioritization, I think that will turn analytics from a reporting function into a strategic capability. And I came up with it, and I think it's a part of because of the work we did a few years ago with my previous leader. We had a data analytics council meeting with the executive every month, and we present our analytics project to them. And it really helps the executive leaders to understand the day in, day out what we're doing, right? To view us not as a reporting function, right? And not as like just a data pool team, but we actually strategically think about how the work can help them make better sales, save more operating costs, things like that. I hope, and I really hope that more analytics leaders can do that, can be a champion on their own, and also engage more business champions in this process to continue to bring forward the work we're doing.
Brilliant, Phoenix. I've really enjoyed your insights and your conversation, so thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you as well, Ben. I enjoyed the conversation as well.
Brilliant. And hopefully, listeners, you've enjoyed today's episode. Please do make sure you follow or subscribe at Data Analytics Chat so you do not miss future episodes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
You've been listening to Data Analytics Chat Podcast. Subscribe to our channel for more stories and insights in data and career.